Welcome everyone. Today we're going to plant garlic. This is a garlic that I planted that I got from last year. So the first thing you need to know is when to plant garlic. So you plant garlic in the fall to pop up for the spring. So today is November 21st of 2025. And we're going to be planting it today for the spring of 2026 to start sprouting. So in the fall, the best time to plant is after the fall rains have stopped. So in Nova Scotia, Canada, where I live, it rains most of November. So as I said, today's November 21st, and the rains are pretty much done. It's starting to look like in the forecast that we're still going to get some rain, but it's not going to be as warm as it has been. And that's the next thing you need to think of is the warmth, because you don't want to confuse the garlic and think that it's spring and it starts sprouting in the fall. So you want to wait till the very last moment. So what I do is I always wait till the temperatures at night are 0 or below pretty steadily. And that's when I plant it. So like I know the last couple nights it was -2 and it looks like it's going to be pretty steady. So the ground will start freezing after that. So we have to get the garlic in the ground now before it freezes. Otherwise, if you do miss that opportunity, you can try planting it in early spring as soon as the ground defrosts. And I have had luck. I did do that once because I missed it and I wasn't able to plant my garlic. So, and it did work. So yeah, that's when you plant garlic. And so I'll see you outside. All right, we're outside now, and this is my garden bed. This is my usual garden bed that I plant garlic in, but my husband and I decided to double it this year because we eat lots of garlic and this is never enough. So this bed, which is right next to it, we're going to plant with garlic as well. That bed we usually put potatoes in, but we have other beds that we could put the potatoes in. So we're going to use both of these beds this year for garlic. And as you can see, I've prepared the beds. So what I've done is after I pick my garlic in August, I let the beds just sit and let the weeds develop and grow, because a lot of those weeds actually add good stuff to the soil. And so I let them develop and grow, and then right before I plant, or sometime later on in the fall when things start dying, I pull up all the weeds, and I just loosen the soil up a bit with my hoe here, so just like this. And so as you can see, the beds are quite deep. They're we like to have about 1 foot of soil for garlic. For root vegetables, most vegetables you want to have 1 foot of soil. That's kind of the go-to thing. So this is nice, easy. I noticed when I got out here, you can see that the top of the soil was starting to freeze already. So this is basically the last moment to put the garlic in. So I broke up all those big clumps of frozen soil. And then, so once it's all good and broken up and loose, then what you want to do is, I started my first line here to show you. So I break up the heads, and then each clove I put in, I dig the trench about 3 inches deep. It's about the size and a half of the clove. I want it to be about, well, actually 3 inches deep. My cloves are quite big, so if they're a bit bigger, then you can plant them a little deeper. If they're a bit smaller, then you plant them a little bit shallower. So I planted my cloves there for you to see in a line, and then what I'll do is I'll just cover them up. But I want to show you how I did that. So basically And it's, I wanted to show you the depth. So my hands are pretty small, but so this is a clove right here that I put in, and this is my finger. So it's about 10 centimeters between these cloves. So you want about 10 centimeters in between each clove, because when the head gets big, you want all the cloves to have enough room and they're not crunched together, so you get some big juicy cloves. And then after you put them in, and so you put them in and you put them in with the stem bit where the roots are, you put that down, facing down, and the pointy bit facing up. So, and then you cover it loosely with soil, just like that. And you have to remember where you were. So usually I put something like another stake there, and then I go, and then I go to the next line, and I put the next line, and so on and so forth. And then I'll show you the next step. So I also forgot to mention that when you are deciding which cloves to plant rather than eat, you always want to choose your biggest cloves for planting and your smallest cloves for eating. That way every year your cloves will get better and better. So this is a perfect example. This is one clove for me, and it's huge. It's absolutely massive. So, and this is because every year I plant my biggest cloves, so they just get bigger and bigger. And it's super juicy too, so I really want to eat it, but I can't because I have to plant it. So the next part is covering the garlic that you've just planted, and as you can tell, I planted it because there's little bits of garlic skins everywhere. So I planted my rose, and now I'm putting straw on top. And I don't put a lot on, I just put about, just enough to cover it and give it a little bit of insulation and help to soak up the moisture. And I do this because if it does warm up in the winter, and the garlic does start sprouting, the straw will help protect those sprouts from dying, and then when it cools off again, they'll be fine, and in the spring they will actually be fine, and you can take the straw off. When you see all the sprouts starting to come up, just have a look and take all the straw off, and you'll have perfect good garlic sprouts coming up. So that's it. And so hopefully we'll have a good harvest next year in the spring. And I wish you all the best with gardening and harvesting your garlic.